your business is going down into the red, right? You're about to bankrupt yourself. You have no more funding. Your revenue sucks ass. Your employees are quitting. You got bad culture. And then you try to have a consultant come in the mix and say, help me fix this. And they're gonna say, well, it's better to fucking tear it all down, start over from scratch. But the thing is, you can't do that with your health and your body, because that's termination of life right there, friend. So you don't want to get to that point where we got to salvage you out of a hole. We got to try to pull you out of the fucking depths of your bad decisions, right? Instead, you want to consistently invest into your health every single day. A good friend, good coach, good mentor confronts you with the reality of things. They don't try to give you sympathy, they give you empathy. And empathy is honesty. It's trying to say, hey, you're fucking up. You're getting fat. You know, your life is going sideways because your health is. Are you going to fix that or what? Right? What the fuck are you doing? Is that the example you want to bring into your family and into your business? Is that the leader you want to be? No. Fuck no, it's not. So why don't you start acting like the leader you want to be and take care of yourself? Set a good example. All right, let's get this day started. Today I have some going back into rotation here. So I'm gonna run and put my stuff down because I feel like I'm going to war right now, carrying all this shit. And then I'm gonna run upstairs and get this back day started. Got a little bit more time today, so maybe some more commentary. But overall, I just wanna set my stuff down, take a shit, and get this workout started. I'm excited, feeling great today. Wakey, wakey, bitch boy, we got some work to do. Time to get that ass up and moving. You know, it's funny, I literally have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 Italian uncles. So you can imagine how I grew up. Every day, what's going on, bitch boy? How you fucking doing, huh? Always roughhousing, always talking shit to you. In an endearing way, you know, but if you come from an Italian household, you know that, right? It's like, there's like bullying / self-love, right? So, you know, everybody's nickname when they, you know, they're younger is bitch boy. What's going on, bitch boy? What are you doing today, huh? Okay, so we got some back today. I'm going to start off with focusing on a little bit of retraction stuff, which basically means the stuff in between my shoulder blades, you know, the muscles in between there. So I like to start off with this cable. Sometimes I do this on a chest day to help open up my chest a little bit in conjunction with maybe doing some like dips. But today I'm doing this as an exercise, mainly to not just a warm up, but also to stimulate a little bit of retraction and upper traps. So when I'm coming up with this band on a Y shape, the cable's pulling me down and in front, right? And then I'm separating up top and I'm getting a big pinch in my upper back, right? So the idea here is I'm trying to engage my traps. I'm trying to pinch my shoulder blades together, and I'm trying to get a nice big squeeze back there. And what that's gonna do is help train some of my upper back muscles, give me some pop and dimension. I would say one of the biggest issues with people's development in terms of, we'll say, balance, right? Because everything needs to be within some sort of balance. They start to get shoulder pain, they start to get neck pain, lower back pain, because they actually miss strength in these muscles that help bring their shoulders backwards, right? Just think about this. If all day long, my shoulders are like this, and I'm fighting gravity for my dear life, right? I'm gonna get all kinds of back pain because my shoulders are getting pulled forward and downwards, right? Gravity pulls me down. So I'm like, ow, my neck hurts. Well, no shit, your neck hurts, right? It's like you got a little midget hanging from your shoulders fucking pulling you down. What you need to do to fix that is train the muscles that bring you up and back. And that's gonna be this movement right here. So I grabbed this little like blue braided band. Let me see if I can get a little bit better angle here. Okay, so I have this little blue braided band here anchored at the bottom of this cable. And then that way I get a little bit of separation when I separate it, because the band's elastic. So as I separate the band, it's going to actually cause a little bit of tension. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about. That should be good there. Now, as I separate the band, it has a little bit of tension when I separate it, right? It's not restricted, because as I pull the handles apart, there's a little bit of tension there. So I get a little bit of tension with that. And then the cable itself, as it's anchored right here, it pulls downward with a little bit of weight on it. So now I'm getting tension going to the outside and tension going forward, which is exactly what I need to train that retraction going back and going up, right? So again, I'll do a few sets here, warm it up, and I'm gonna do all sorts of shit for my upper back today. We'll do some rear delts as well. So let's get after it. Wakey, wakey. Let's talk about a mag grip. Now, if you don't know what a mag grip is, it's this thing. Have you ever seen an attachment in the gym that's like black and it's got this like beveled side handle? It's designed to have more of an ergonomic grip, which essentially means it complements your body's natural position. And why is that beneficial? Well, something on back day, you know, you're trying to remove as much stress and strain from your forearms as possible, right? And if you're getting too much stress in your forearms and biceps, you're probably not getting that much in your back, right? So this is meant to help mitigate or take out a lot of that stress you feel in your forearms, because it complements your natural grip curve, right? Instead of you trying to forcefully squeeze something, this puts more of like a meat hook on it, right? You have this side angle right here, right? You see how it's beveled? And essentially your thumb goes right there, right? And so what it'll look like is it'll be a perfect little fit for your thumb and your hand. That way you get more of this meat hook than you do try to squeeze and close your grip, because when you tighten all your fingers, that's when you get all that stress in the forearm, right? Because all the connective tissue from your fingers feeds up into your forearm muscles, and if you actually squeeze your hand right now, you'll feel your forearm tighten. So I like to use this mag grip because it'll mitigate a lot of that forearm stress. So if you're having trouble on your back days because you're feeling too much in your forearms, try to see if you can get one of these mag grips if your gym has them, okay? If not, go buy one. Fantastic. So what I'm going to do here is a little bit more high profile pinching, okay? Now, we got to focus on changing the angle. So if you're on a seated row machine, you got to think, where is the cable positioned, okay? Because if you're trying to get upper back stress, there's two ways to do it. You can pull upwards on an angle, or you could pull downwards on an angle. And if you're pulling straight across, you can still get some of that retraction, but you are going to get a lot of that heavily biased inside of your lats too when you're doing that pulling motion, which is the muscles underneath your armpits. And I'm trying to train the ones between my shoulder blades, right? So how do I target that more? I'm going to change my angle a little bit. I'm going to elevate my pelvis up, and I'm going to get a Bosu ball. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Right there. Okay, so with this Bosu ball, what it's going to do is, as you see, it elevates my pelvis a little bit. Let me put this camera up. This will actually elevate my pelvis up a little bit. So now I'm actually sitting higher. So since the cable doesn't move, I need to move my body up. So now it's on a slight upward angle. When I'm pulling, I can get a better pinch in my upper back, okay? So let's grab onto this. And when I pull, I want to keep my chest up. Another thing too is when you're sitting, is if you have tight hamstrings, you're going to have this tendency to like rotate your hips underneath you, and you're getting this like rounding to your back like this. You want to take that shit out. Okay, so what you want to do is think about sitting on your hamstrings, right? Pull that butt out all the way. And what that'll do is, as you shift your hips backwards, it's actually going to take your lower spine and it's going to lock it into place for you and stabilize it. Because your lats and some of your back muscles actually connect to that lower spine, okay? And if you can keep that nice foundation in place and stable, it's going to be a lot easier for you to isolate muscles, okay? Now, if you're rounded like this, it'd be like I was mentioning, you trying to do a bicep curl with a half-ass fucking flex bicep, right? We want to get that full range, okay? So we want a good foundation, good stability, so it creates a better condition for me to be able to squeeze my upper back, right? I want to stabilize as much of the other muscle groups as possible so they're not coming into play here. So keeping my chest up high, making sure my butt's back, and I'm trying to get a nice big pinch. So my elbows are kind of flaring out a little bit more. And I'm trying to just pinch my shoulder blades. Beautiful. Easy peasy Japanesey. All right, let me take off this hoodie so you can see a little bit more of that pinching action going on. Okay. Let's grab this boy up, taking that butt out, chest high, and I'm focusing on that upper pitch, upper pitch, upper pitch, upper pitch. Okay. And this is going to be one of many movements that I'm using for retraction, right? So this one is not as isolated as maybe individual grips can be, because I can get a better range and variation. But this is just something I'm going to start as like a little warm up to. And then we'll get into some more dumbbell stuff. We'll get into some more cables where I can get a little more separation. But this is just one way to start priming the back for some of the movements. Next thing I'm going to do is do some sort of rowing motion, a little bit higher profile. So I'm going to use dumbbells. I'll use barbells if I'm mainly focusing on a lat focus, because I don't need to separate my arms that much when I'm training my lats. I just need to get my elbows back into extension. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to focus on doing a dumbbell movement, a high pulling exercise coming from a low position, so I can pinch my shoulder blades. And the best way to do this is be able to have some separation that can occur. So what I'm going to actually do is grab some kettlebells. And the reason why is because unlike a dumbbell, right? The dumbbell has weight that's lateral to your wrist. So if I grab onto it, the plates sit outside my wrist. So I have this like flexion and deviation I got to be concerned with. And again, putting stress on my forearms where I don't want it, right? But with a kettlebell, I can hold that top handle piece. The weight is centered underneath. So now I can just focus on driving my elbows back without any type of interference coming from my forearm. So let me go grab some kettlebells and set this bench up and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I got my kettlebells now. I'm gonna set this bench up to a nice angle. Okay. And I'm gonna do something different. Okay then. Awareness. That's a thing, right? Walk in front of people's cameras while they're filming, I guess. All right, here's what we're gonna do. Now with the kettlebell, right here, like I was mentioning, is if I'm grabbing this kettlebell, the weight's underneath my hand. If I have a dumbbell, the plates are on the outsides of my wrists, and then I have that tendency to get a little bit of flexion and deviation. But with this, I'm gonna be able to focus on just driving my elbows straight backwards. I have a bench set up to probably about 30 degrees, and what I'm gonna do with this is I'm going to actually walk all the way forward. I'm not gonna put my legs backwards, I'm actually gonna lean into it, because what I wanna do is get a little bit of like extension over this bench. That way when I'm doing my movement, damn it. That way when I'm doing this movement, I can get some extension coming from my shoulder blades. If I'm up too high, it's not gonna pull at the right angle. So I need to kind of lean forward a little bit. That way I can get that opening of the shoulder blades and then a closing that I'm looking for, okay? So I'm gonna grab onto these. I'm gonna drive my elbows straight backwards, keep my chest up nice and high, okay? And get a nice big pinch. So I'm actually going to do something I don't usually do. I haven't done in a long time. So I never train my traps, aside from like some secondary work with maybe some overhead stuff, or doing some reverse flies, maybe a little bit of secondary work. But I never train my traps because, as you can see, they just fucking sit there. So this is a little rule of thumb here. If you go up to anybody inside the gym that has a genetically enhanced body part in some way, shape, or form, don't ask them what they do, because you ask me, what do I do for traps? A bunch of shrugs? I'll fucking know, right? It's just part of my genetic nature. They just always sit like that. So same thing with the hamstrings. Like, I blow my fucking hamstrings out, but they've always been a little bit bigger, right? So in terms of genetic capacity, I would say that they're definitely some of my strengths. So I'm going to do a little bit of shrugging today because I haven't trained my traps in isolated fashion in probably like a year. So I'm going to do a little bit of trap work here. Just doing the barbell. I'm going to stick pretty light. Just really going to focus on that squeeze. All right, I'm just going to toss some light weights on that bar. Nothing crazy, probably just some 25s. I don't need to blow that shit out. They're already huge. And again, you're trying to preserve some sort of aesthetic balance, because like I was mentioning the other day with like the calves going into the legs, is if things get out of proportion, the symmetry gets thrown off, and then things look smaller than they are. So with my traps, I mean, they just grow like fucking weeds. So I got to be very careful with what I choose to isolate them with, because otherwise I'll make the rest of my back look smaller. All right, so with shrugging too, never do this rolling action. That's a good way to tear your fucking shoulders, especially when you have like dumbbells, right? When you have that freedom of range, people get that nice big rolling motion. Don't fucking do that. That's going to tear your shoulder right out of socket, especially if you have bad posture and bad form, right? So with this, I'm just focusing on a vertical movement. What I'll do sometimes is I'll get a slight angle to it, and I'll kind of go backwards, because your traps don't just come up. They also go back into that retraction, right? And that's generally how I train them, is I don't do any type of shrugging motions. So I want to not just come up, I'm going to come back slightly. So putting a slight angle on it is going to help me do that. And again, just trying to pinch my shoulder blades. Oh. Oh. What up, baby? Okay, so I generally do some variation. Like a reverse fly. Bring my arms separated apart. Like the machine, I've talked about that in previous videos. I just feel like the machine's not really designed well, and it can internally rotate the shoulders and cause some sort of injury. So I prefer to not use the machine. I like a little bit more versatility, because people have varying widths to their shoulder frame. And although that arm can move on that machine, I just don't feel like that line of resistance feels right. So with this cable, I can actually maneuver it a little bit through my range. It's not stuck in the same plane. I can actually bring it down on a slight angle, which will actually utilize more of that rear delt because it's more of an angular motion. It's not just straight out. It's kind of on an angle downward. As you can see, when I come down, I'll flex the back of that shoulder. And that's what I'm really trying to focus all my activation on, that and then in between my shoulder blades. So when I do this movement, it allows for that range to occur. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Bring this back here a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna grab both these handles, and I never wanna cross them back over. I don't like this, you know, when people come all the way through, that's a good way to collapse the shoulder joint. And it actually takes away some stress from where I wanna keep it, which is on the back of my shoulders at all times. Although this is a full stretch across body, I just think the return is not really worth the risk when it comes to bringing that shoulder all the way across, because you can internally rotate it and cause some damage to the joint. So I like to go right here. I like to take those black pieces at the end of the cable and make sure they don't cross. And then I just focus on a nice slow downward angle. And you wanna make sure you keep your wrist in extension backwards. They go like this, it's gonna pull it to the inside. So keep it open, big pinch here. And nice, easy squeezes. Not going heavy, focus on that isolation with this. Beautiful. And see, that's smooth because it allows me to actually change where I'm pulling. I start from up high, I pull a little bit down low. The machine will isolate me to a horizontal range, and it doesn't feel too great. So I like to do on the cables, make sure there's enough separation in those cables to make a good squeeze. If they're too narrow, you won't get the proper range. So I like to separate them apart, use a free motion. You can also use one of the other cable attachments, you know, like the standing column ones as well. Whichever one's available to you. The free motion has more variability. The arms can move up and down, they can move in, so you can kind of fit your shoulder frame a little bit better. However, if you don't have access to the machine, you can also do it on the traditional cable stacks as well. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. You know, I was having some conversations with clients the other day about negotiating with yourself. And I think, you know what's crazy is entrepreneurs are some of the most fucking regimented people that I've ever met. And working with them for the last 15 years in terms of their fitness and health, I could tell you, they could be stubborn, they could be arrogant, but I could be fucking more arrogant. I could be more stubborn, especially when it comes to your well-being, you know. And sometimes what they'll do is they often negotiate the time they spend on their health. And what they'll do is they'll put it last sometimes. Not always. A lot of them are focused on skill development and some sort of personal investment, improving themselves in every way, shape, and form that they can. But some of them, however, let work get the best of them, and it consumes their life. And that puts them in a very tricky situation, because the linchpin of your entire life, you know, you being a leader at work, you know, you showing up for your family, all is dependent, codependent rather, on your health being in check. And if that element is not in place, you are going to feel like shit. And you will not show up and be your most effective self. You won't be efficient. You cannot be a leader if you're not even willing to lead yourself, right? So I have a lot of conversations about setting your priority of focus. And look, if your business is thriving right now, you're doing well, I understand how intriguing it could be to gravitate towards the things that you feel like you're doing well with, right? That you're strong with. Even people in here, they get out of balance with their bodies because they put so much emphasis on their strengths and they neglect their weaknesses. But if your business life right now is not the limiting factor, then I highly suggest that you gravitate your prioritization towards yourself. Like, look, if you're falling behind with your health, that will be your limiting factor in business and life. I can guarantee it. How you feel every day, your thought process, your creative function, all those things are going to be limited because your brain is picking up on the feedback from your body. You don't have enough calories and energy. You're malnourished. You don't have your vitamins and nutrients in check. And all systems are failing. Like, think about even in a business, right? If all those cylinders aren't running at full capacity, right? If your workers come in half-ass, they have no motivation, they don't have an overarching vision and purpose why they show up to work. They're not working towards something because you haven't painted the vision for that, right? You have poor systems in place. What do you think's going to happen? If the internal workings of your business are shit, then your business is going to fall apart, right? If the internal workings of your body are shit, your body's going to fall apart. We need to control those inputs. And you need to be very objective with how you view yourself. Because very often, as we continue to negotiate our time and ourself, we will often forget that your body's going to make decisions based on what it sees fit, right? In business, the market's going to keep on moving, right? It don't give two turtle shits if you ain't picking up its messages, right? It does not care, and it will not wait for you, just like your body. It's not going to wait. So, this is your wake-up call. If you are not focusing on your health, and you are in business, you are hurting yourself. You won't have a business if you don't have your health. I'll tell you right now, say you have a kid, right? Let's use a kid as an example. Maybe you don't have a kid, but you can still use this as a good analogy. Your kid gets sick severely. Like, we're talking cancer, trauma, needs surgery, something severe, you know, God forbid. You know, I'm not saying I want that to happen. I'm just saying, understand this. Are you going to negotiate and say, I got work. We got a meeting I got to go to? No. What the fuck are you talking about? You're going to get your ass out of that meeting. You're going to leave work. You go tend to your kid. No. Your body is screaming for help right now. You're in pain. You got low energy levels, no sex drive. You feel like shit. You're lacking confidence in yourself. You need to get new clothes because they're starting to not fit you anymore because you're gaining weight. How many more signs do you need to understand that there's a problem? You need to fix that shit. And don't let, you know, your self-limiting beliefs about gravitating towards what makes you feel strong and confident, like working on your business, affect your ability to grow, right? Don't focus all your energy, effort, and attention on your business when it's doing well. Especially when you got a sinking ship in your life like your health. You got to get that shit fixed. Always prioritize yourself. Because I'll tell you right now, there's always ways to make more money. But you have one body, one health. You can bankrupt your fucking business and probably start it over. Because you have the knowledge, you have the skills. What you don't have is the knowledge and skills to get your health back on track. And you need to fix that. And this may sound facetious, this may sound aggressive. However, it's necessary to penetrate that thick skull and ego that some entrepreneurs develop. Because they think, man, I've worked 15 years to get to this point in my life. And now I have this avarice for hard work. I'm stuck in these cycles of pushing myself and grinding towards a goal in business. And it's become so habitual that you almost get a mild form of anxiety when you step away from it because it's so ingrained in your thinking and your daily operations that it's hard to separate yourself from it without feeling like you're getting behind. But that's a negative lens to view your life, right? Your business should be in addition to your life. It shouldn't be your whole life. Especially when it's starting to affect and render your health. So, get your shit back on track and don't negotiate with yourself. And I'm going to tell you, if you're in business, it is to your advantage to understand self-prioritization at its highest point, which means when you wake up in the morning, are you giving externally or are you giving internally? And what I mean by that is, are you focused on working on a business, putting things into the world, or are you focused internally on your own growth and skill development? And if you're focused externally, you're going to forever be unhappy because the metrics of your happiness lay outside of yourself, right? But you need to focus internally and think, Can I find happiness and satisfaction and fulfillment that I've gotten from business with my health, my well-being? Of course you can. Imagine if you drove around a Lamborghini, but the Lamborghini was your body. You could take it into fucking the store with you, right? Take it into meetings with you. And people are like, oh shit. You know, one of my clients, I think it's funny. He started last year in October. His name's Patrick. I talk about him a lot. He became one of my very close friends. Anyway, he does well in business, but you know, he has this defaulted growth mindset to where he's always looking to advance and find mentors and accept ignorance. And because he did that, he was able to grow and scale his health just like he did with his business and his life. And we've added about 25 pounds of muscle to him. We've lost over 20 pounds of fat. And now people call him Muscles. He's getting attention from younger women, and his life has significantly changed for the better. And that could be you. You know, give yourself an honest year of attention and focus. If you were to scrap your business and start it over, what do you think you could do in a year? That's what I'm trying to say, is put some energy and attention and effort into yourself and watch how far that goes. And let me tell you, it's going to pay you dividends in business, because you're going to show up with more energy, more confidence, more creative sauce, right? You're getting the gears turning. Working out literally makes you smarter from a neurological standpoint. You know, you're healthier, so you're functioning better. You got more energy levels. Why would you not do that, right? Because I'll ask some people, what's the best investment you've ever made? And they'll tell me a stock price back in 2009. And I'm like, you're thinking the wrong way, friend. You're thinking small scale. The best investment you can ever make is skill development within yourself. You should have said, learning how to invest my money in the stock market. What you should have said was, I understand the feelings that my body tell me when I'm in pain or when I have low energy, and I know how to go about correcting those. That should be your best investment, is yourself. Always finding ways to contribute to your overall health and well-being, because that's what's going to compound over time, right? You carry yourself with you through your entire life. Your business will stay put when you go on vacation. Maybe you'll answer some phone calls, some texts, shit like that. Especially if you have a brick and mortar business, so it's going to stay put, right? You can step away from it. You know what you can't step away from? Your health. The way you feel about yourself. So you should definitely prioritize that. As you see, it can play a vital role in not only your confidence, but your success in life and business. Because you are the center point of all those things. It could trickle into your relationships. I'll tell you right now, a fit couple is a couple that's much happier than a couple that's out of shape. You know, and I know it's a vague statement because there's probably many variables that will contribute to that happiness and satisfaction. However, generally speaking, if everything else was constant, the people that are in shape are going to be a hell of a lot better in their relationship than the people who are out of shape. Imagine finding a better physical attraction to your partner because you like the way they look, their energy level, their confidence, right? You can have that. Or maybe you don't have somebody right now. Maybe you can get somebody, right? It all comes down to putting yourself as your main priority. And if you don't, well, you're going to be sorry in the future, because let's go back to the business. You're going to be fucking passed up, friend. Somebody in your same market with the same level of knowledge and experience and wisdom, maybe not the exact same person, but the edge they're going to have over you is they take care of their health. So they have better energy, they have more confidence and drive, more creative function, all these elements that are going to compound, and they're going to fucking smoke you, right? So, what are you doing to work on yourself every single day? You could be reading books, you know, you could be building your knowledge base, but if your body is breaking down, it's going to catch up with you, friend. And I don't want that to happen. So take this as a wake-up call. Not me pointing a finger at you, making fun of you, telling you you can't do something, right? But more of a wake-up call. Because look, at the end of the day, empathy is honesty, right? And one of the first things I tell people is you need to get okay with the fact and acquainted with the fact that my job as a coach is to be honest with you, not to be nice with you, not nice to you. Are you okay with that? And I say, look, a good friend, good coach, good mentor confronts you with the reality of things. They don't try to give you sympathy, they give you empathy, and empathy is honesty. It's trying to say, hey, you're fucking up, you're getting fat, you know, your life is going sideways because your health is. Are you gonna fix that or what? Right? What the fuck are you doing? You know, is that okay? Is that the example you wanna bring into your family and into your business? Is that the leader you wanna be? No, fuck no, it's not. So why don't you start acting like the leader you wanna be and take care of yourself? Set a good example, right? You know, the definition of wealth back in the day was centered around your health, because everything will stem from good health, right? Everything positive will stem from good health. If you're a billionaire, but you're sick in a fucking bed all day, I really don't think it matters. Because if you have your health and no money, you have everything. If you have money and no health, you have nothing at all. You're going to be a project for physicians and medical providers to try to experiment on you to figure out what the fuck's wrong with you because you spent so much time neglecting it. It's like a consultant. Your business is going down into the red, right? You're about to bankrupt yourself. You have no more funding. Your revenue sucks ass. Your employees are quitting. You got bad culture. And then you try to have a consultant come in the mix and say, help me fix this. And they're gonna say, well, it's better to fucking tear it all down, start over from scratch. But the thing is, you can't do that with your health and your body, because that's termination of life right there, friend. So you don't want to get to that point where we got to salvage you out of a hole. We got to try to pull you out of the fucking depths of your bad decisions, right? Instead, you want to consistently invest into your health every single day. You know, I'll wear things like a posture brace. People say, why do you wear that? It looks like a bra, right? I say, that's fucking fantastic. If I gave a shit what you thought about me, I probably wouldn't do half the things I did. But do I have bad posture? No, I'm very conscious and conscientious, right? I'm aware and intentional with the way that I position my body, because it'll affect your mental headspace, right? So I'll do things like wear a posture brace, right? On a regular basis. Why? Because I'm investing into my health, right? I'm making sure that doesn't become a problem. I take out the passive aggressors. They say build passive mailbox money, passive income, right? Because that can help buy you back your time. Well, I want to buy back my time in the future by removing pain and obstacles for myself, potentially, by investing into my health and my well-being, right? You don't want to be in pain? Well, you should be doing stuff right now to make sure that pain doesn't come up in the future, right? Like poor posture. If your shoulders start coming forward, your neck starts hurting, your lower back, you go to a fucking surgeon and they're going to say, well, we got to do some surgery. Motherfucker, no, you don't. I would say about 90% of people that have lower back pain, neck pain, you know, at least in terms of a chronic fashion, don't need anything except lifestyle change to fix it. And drink some fucking water, you're dehydrated, you know? Go for a walk. Wear that posture brace, it's $20 fucking. And look, the posture is so significant. Let's just talk about it real fast, because I think it's important. You know, you're sitting at a desk all day and your shoulders are starting to come forward, right? Not only does this not look aesthetically pleasing, but a couple different things take place. Now, mechanically, you're gonna get shoulder and neck pain because your body's just not in alignment anymore, right? If your suspension in your car was offset and it's rickety and raggedy, it's knocking you all over the place like you're driving around in a shopping cart, you're gonna say, oh shit, I need to get this fixed, right? The problem is people experience these pains in their body, they don't do shit about it until they need surgery, right? Do you wait till your car breaks down to get it fixed? Probably not. It starts making some fucking noises and starts doing some weird stuff. You're probably gonna go get checked out, right? That's your way to work. Well, this is your way through life, your body. You better fucking pay attention to it. Let's get back to the posture. Anyway, shoulders are forward, mechanical problems, pain in the body. It's also cutting off your breathing capacity because you're compressing your ribs, right? So now your ribs are real tight like this. And you're like, oh, fuck, right? What does that do? Well, it limits your breathing capacity. Now you can't breathe. Well, it's two things come from that. 80% of your fat loss stems from breathing. So if you're not breathing, you're cutting off that passive fat burn ability. You're gaining weight because you're not breathing properly. I could probably help you lose 5 pounds of fat just by doing breathing exercises for a month. Fuck. Imagine that. No workouts needed. So you're cutting off that passive fat burn, right? That burn rate that could pay you dividends to your aesthetics in the future. And then lastly is if the oxygen in your blood drops because you're not breathing well, your brain's gonna pick up on that because it's constantly analyzing your blood, right? Holy shit, this oxygen's low. I think I'm suffocating. What does it do? Speed up your heart rate, speed up your respiration by kicking out anxiety hormones, right? Your body starts to panic. You're like, oh, fuck, right? I'm fucking suffocating. You better turn that fucking machine on, start pumping that blood faster, start breathing faster. Next thing you know, you're getting low-grade anxiety, and you're just sitting at a desk at a fucking computer. You're like, why the fuck am I anxious? It's also gonna make you depressed. Depression stems from the body in a low energy state, right? Anxiety is when it's in a high energy state. So you're gonna alternate between those two. As the oxygen in the blood drops, you go into a low energy state, you start to feel tired. Your brain tells your body to overcorrect it by releasing anxiety hormones, speeding up the heart rate, speeding up your breathing rate. And now you're alternating between this polarity of low energy levels in depression and anxiety hormones in high energy states. And you're like, why the fuck do I feel this way? Why am I stressed? Why am I anxious? I'm biting my nails. I'm getting stressed. I'm gaining weight. You know, I'm irritated. I'm depressed. My jaw hurts. My neck hurts. Your body is literally facilitating a stressed posture, all because you're not breathing. So now you're reinforcing that bad posture, and you're causing all sorts of issues to happen. So, my friend, you need to fix that. Always invest into your health and well-being. Find ways in any way imaginable, right? To be able to do that in a simple way that you can scale, right? Consistency is what's necessary. In order for consistency to be there with your health, you need simplicity, right? Simplicity scales. Always remember that. Business and health, same shit, right? Simple, consistent efforts. Make sure you're investing into your health. Don't wait to be reactive. Don't wait till some shit's wrong to start doing something about it. Do it now. The fuck are you waiting for? You know? No more of that. No more laziness. You wouldn't do that in your business. Don't do that with your health. But all right, we are coming to an end here, friends. That is good. You know, I almost negotiated with doing this cardio for a minute there. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just kind of lift and I'll go have my shake. But you know what? I didn't. I feel like that sometimes too. Sometimes I'll try to negotiate and then I kill that fucking comfort demon real fast because I say, fuck you. I'm doing this. This is what I wanted. Don't go towards comfort, friend. Go towards discomfort. And scale your health one simple action at a time. Okay? Make sure you're putting in the effort. Don't put it off. Don't be reactive. Invest in your well-being. But that'll be it for today. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And I'll see you on the next one.